We're down here south of Yuma meeting with a company that's taking biosolids from different sources and they're repurposing it for agricultural purposes. So I'm going to introduce you to some of the people that are here, and we're going to kind of record some footage, package it up for you so we can gather the intelligence, give it to you, and you can make decisions as you need.
Well, my name is Ryan Unruh. I've actually been on this farm since '97. I came out here with my uncle and we put it in. It was all bare desert, and we put in these pivots and started, and biosolids was already going up on the mesa, but it wasn't down here on this farm, but we have since incorporated that. And then I went to work for James Donnelly Farms, and they own this, and now I've switched to AgTech. So owned by a company out of California, Mrs. McGann. And you know, we're happy with what we do out here. We've taken this farm and turned it into a viable farming operation. We're a farm first. You know, that's what we like to, we like to say that we're a farm first rather than a biosolids operation, because really what we put the biosolids on is to grow the crops that we grow, and it does an excellent job. You got water conservation, we use no commercial fertilizers. We've cut our pesticides and herbicides out. We don't use either of those. We're as close to organic as you can get here, but you can't certify because EPA has a little rider in that says biosolids can't be certified organic. But other than that, we have no pesticides, no herbicides, no commercial fertilizer. We're almost as organic, you could say, as it could be, and we use an organic product. So we're real happy with what it is.
And you're saving something that would have gone to a landfill, so you're repurposing that, right? That's
correct. I mean, all biosolids except for some composting, which composting is a really difficult thing to do. Is as far as making it actually work. But we've taken biosolids, a cake material that would have filled football stadiums full already in the last few years, and we've put it out here and repurposed it, used it for fertilizer, and made something out of it that otherwise you just dump in a hole in the ground. And also same with our local towns here, Somerton, Yuma, and we've got a lot of RV parks around here. We take their product and screen it, turn it into fertilizer, and we've grown excellent crops on it. So,
where do your biosolids come from?
Well, we get all the local companies that we can. We like to deal with the local area as much as we can. We've got City of Yuma, we're working on the foothills right now. We've got Somerton, and all the local guys that pump for the valley, all the farmers and everybody. And then we've got California contracts. We got some San Diego and Orange County. And Orange County's been coming in here for the last 10 years or so, and San Diego the last 5. So those are our main contracts out of California.
Is there any quality control or consistency between batches of the biosolids that you get? What are you normally seeing chemically wise? Any risk factors?
Well, it's not a hazardous material. It's even our drivers don't have to have hazmat to haul it. A lot of people have that misconception that it's a hazardous material. It's not. It is a treated product. What we're looking for is to follow regulations that ADEQ and EPA has set as far as metals. We watch the metals in our fields, the accumulation of metals, and also nitrogen for our crops, because obviously we're a farm first. So too much nitrogen will burn it, not enough, we can't grow. But the metals is what we've watched. We track it. Every single load that comes in here gets entered into our website, and that website averages the metals that we get from analysis, from the generator, from grab analysis, from soil tests, and it'll average those together, and then we track those metals according to ADEQ standards, what they've set. So far, our highest field that we've had out here as far as accumulation is around less than 2%. So we're looking at, if you've done it for 20 some years out here and you're at 2%, less than 2%, we're not even close to any thresholds of metals that ADEQ is worried about. But yet we track it, and we stay, we send it in our annual report, and so that's where we're at with that. But as far as anything harmful at this time, no.
Do you do any independent auditing? Do you hire companies to come in, look through your records, and validate everything, validate your process?
We have done that in the past. We've done that. ADEQ comes down and inspects us and looks through our records. Also, our generators, like Orange County, will come down as well. They come down and inspect our process and what we've got going on, and they look through our, how we're tracking, and they want to make sure their end product is getting used properly as well. So we do have oversight from them. But our main oversight would be ADEQ, State of Arizona, and then also we would be under EPA as well. So.
And so when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you periodically test the tankers that are coming in, and then you send it to a private lab.
Yeah.
In addition to that, how often are the cities releasing their water quality report or biosolid quality report?
We get them every 3 months, and we can get them more often than that. We have several generators that send them to us monthly. I try to do a random grab samples. Every week I'll come out here and try to get pick somebody out that's here. And we don't let them know we're going to do it. We just take a sample and we send it up to Legend there in Phoenix. The reason we use that lab is they're an Arizona certified. We don't have anything down here that's Arizona certified. We can do some nitrogen testing down here, but as far as we always go through Legend, always go through a certified lab on anything that we put into our website as a fact. So we use those grab samples just to keep make sure that nothing's changed between now and the last time.
So it's common to have a lot of sampling when it comes to like food safety and things like that. I just went to Barkley,
right,
and every load of wheat that's coming in from the field,
right,
is sampled. They've got this probe that goes in and sampling it. They're sending off samples to have them looked at for phyto and for quality and toxins and things like that, and they retain a little batch. Would that be cost prohibitive to you and your organization if every truck that came pulled a sample? You had a guy, his job is to pull a sample, his job is to take it to the lab to make sure that it's clean.
Well,
is that cost prohibitive? Or
the thing with that would be, what we'd run into with that is, yeah, it'd be cost prohibitive. That would be one thing. The other thing is you have to keep it at a certain temperature all the way up there, so that would be another thing we'd have to look at. Now we're putting it on dry ice and we're just sending it right off, but you'd have to have a guy. If we had a certified lab here in Yuma, that would really help us, but that certified lab in Phoenix, you'd have to have a guy driving every day, because you have to keep it, you got to keep it at a certain temperature to, for them to test it. So that we'd run into a little bit with that. That's a little bit more why we do it random. Also, I like the random testing in some ways because it does kind of keep all the generators honest, that they're not bringing us. One thing we really watch for is that we don't get any product that's not septage. And that's part of our random sampling, part of our grab sample, is that you don't all of a sudden throw us some grease. They have grease traps of French fry grease and all that. We don't take that here. So if somebody would try to bring something like that in, we want to catch it right away, and we want to make sure that they never know when they're going to get sampled. So that's kind of the program we put together.
What kind of training for your operators do you have to look for things like that?
We do. We have that. We don't let anybody on our screen here unless they've had at least 3 months of being behind the foreman and watching for it. And then I'm not far away, I'm right there, and anytime they get a load that, if they get a load that they say, hey, this looks a little off, I come down here, I inspect it, and we take a sample of it. And then what we'll do is, we'll reject it right there on the spot. If it looks like it's something other than what we analyze or what we take, we'll just reject it, send them away. We don't have that happen a lot. We've had a couple come in. They called me, I come down here, and I said, hey, that looks like, mud, or that looks like something else, and we send it out, send it back, they can go to the landfill. That's what we'll do. We just refer them to the landfill.
I've heard a lot of people complaining about flies. They say, oh, there's a lot of flies in Yuma, and there weren't ever flies in Yuma until we started accepting biosolids from California.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I've lived here quite a while. I've always known there's some flies, but we have a lot of outside other factors around here, that people maybe tend to not look at. Biosolids is kind of the easy thing to point fingers at. We take every precaution we can as far as trying to keep the flies out. We're not saying that we don't ever have any flies, but here at the screen system, you know, every morning we spray with it's a safe spray that we get that people use in horse stables and things like that. We spray down all the equipment, the guys do, and we also do 2 options here. EPA has option 9, which is subsoil injection, and they have option 10, which is incorporation. So we're only required to do option 9 here. We're only required to subsoil inject. But what we do is we subsoil inject directly from the machine, directly from the truck, and then we'll go behind it and disc again, which is both options. So by the end of the day, there's no liquid left here, and there's no liquid on top of the ground or anywhere. So everything's disked in, everything's incorporated, it's in dry dirt. We move to a new spot every day, so we don't have, you know, we're not making it extra wet. So we move around with our hose, and we really watch the flies that way. We also have several other fly programs. We use fly traps everywhere, fly bait. We use, and we've invested a little bit into the last couple of years into a company out of, we haven't invested in a company, we've invested in their product, but we're using a company called Biosolids out of Tucson, and we're bringing in these parasitic wasps, and so we'll get about 100,000 at a time in these bags, and then they'll hatch, and we'll come out here and what they do is right when they're hatching, you dig a little hole and you put them right beside like your screen system, and then they'll hatch out of there fully. And so we're using that program, and that has seemed to really help. They eat the fly larvae. So we've been getting out about every month or so. When it's super hot in the summer, they don't live, so you got to watch that. But during the cooler months, you know, a little bit cooler, we'll use that program. We've had good luck with it. I know the date farmers over here have used it some, but you know, talking about some of the outside pressures too, we have a landfill within a mile or 2 of here as far as flies go. We've got a date farm that has a lot of sticky dates all over the ground, and we've got the prison over here with drying beds, and I believe we got a feed livestock crossing center right here. So it's like we've got a little area here that if we'd all work together a little better, we could probably even do more. But I think we've got a little pressure spot right here that it's real easy to point fingers at biosolids.
That makes a lot of sense. What was the name of that company out of Phoenix again?
Bugological.
Bugological.
And it's out of Tucson, actually.
Out of Tucson.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a website you can go on, and they've got a lot of research on what they do. But it's just a small parasitic wasp, eats fly larvae, and it doesn't sting.
Wow.
Fortunately.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the process. Could you walk us through the process? So
sure.
A tanker comes to the field. Then what happens?
All right, we get a tanker from the city of Yuma, or we'll get a truck out of one of these guys that pump out of the valley for these farmers, or septic tanks, and they'll come up on our little pad here, and we've got a screen system that we've put in. So the truck runs directly gravity flow into the screen system, and it's a 1/4-inch bar screen. So there's nothing getting through it. Like if it has a paper towel in it, or if it has some human hair, or even somebody's ring, it'll get caught in there. So. And then we've got a guy standing there all the time that scrapes that screen, keeps it clean, and he'll put it into we have a trash container for the screening. And that gets dumped and goes directly to the landfill, the screenings itself. So, and then from that screen, we have 2 pumps that pump it through a hose. It's about a 1/4 mile we've got of hose there, and it'll go out to the field to an injection system that runs behind a tractor, and that gets injected under the soil about 12 to 18 inches. And so that liquid will run under the soil. After that has dried about an hour, we'll come back over with a disc and disc it. So we don't want to get too much of that in our tractor, but we'll come over the top and disc it. So that's option 9, option 10, and by the end of the day, it's all dry dirt, looks good. So
yeah.
And then we come in, after that, obviously we grow crops on it. So.
Well, just looking at the difference here, I mean, we have desert right here on the corner, and then we have a lush alfalfa field right next to it. I mean, that speaks to the value.
Well, like I said, we don't use any other fertilizers, no commercial fertilizers. This puts enough nitrogen in it for what we do to grow our alfalfa. A lot of people will get 4 years, we get about 3. So then it starts running out of fuel. But then we'll go in and disc it up and respread. But our soil conservation, water conservation, our figures are 25% we feel like it's a 25% increase from what it was as pure sand. So that's a big savings if you're thinking about water and how much you're pumping on. And I feel like we use a really conservative way to put the water on. These pivots going around, the irrigation that we do puts a half a gallon per square foot per circle. So that's not a lot of water. If you take a half a gallon and just pour it out here on the dry sand, wouldn't do much. But you put a little bit of biosolids in there, it'll hold it, and we're able to grow crops on that amount of water. So I feel like, you know, nothing against the old systems and the flooding, but I feel like what we're doing out here, we do conserve water, and, you know, that's in the best interest of Arizona there. You know, this is what I call hourglass sand. You take it, you put it in your hand, you can't even hold it. It'll just run out, you know. It's
superstitious.
It wouldn't
sand.
grow anything.
Yeah.
Wouldn't grow anything without, if you didn't put some fertilizer and water.
Yeah.
So
They call it superstition. That's the soil type.
it'll grow these
Superstition sand.
desert plants.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for giving us a walkthrough
Yeah.
of everything you got going on here.